Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Today Television. I'm Sakshi Batra and this is Market Today, a show where we'll help you understand the trade setup and the market strategies for the day and the rest of the week as well. Remember, the Nifty started off this week on quite a strong note. The index rebounded sharply on the back of positive global cues and, of course, the steady crude oil prices. In fact, they dipped from the steep hike that they saw over the last week as well. And therefore, the Nifty reclaimed 24,900 odd levels as well. All eyes are now on whether 25,000 will soon come in and stay put this time around too. The movement of benchmark indices Nifty and the Sensex today is also likely to be influenced by a host of factors, including Bank of Japan's interest rate decision, the escalating Israel-Iran tensions, the start of the US Federal Reserve's two-day policy meeting, and therefore the reaction on that, oil prices as to how they go forward from here, institutional flows, and of course the mixed global cues that we are getting at this point in time. Remember, on the geopolitical tensions, the last 12 hours have actually seen further escalation in Iran-Israel hostilities. We've also seen that Donald Trump is likely to leave GS summit early to return to Washington and oversee the crisis as well. Trump did mention that everybody should immediately evacuate Tehran. Now, Trump's evacuation comment in Asia hours, spurred turn in risk sentiment as well. And we'd already seen that in the overnight trading session on Wall Street, all the major indices had posted the gains on optimism for a diplomatic solution there. But the Dow Jones climbed by about 0.75%, S&P 500 gained 0.9% in trade, Nasdaq Composite also jumped by about 1.5% in trade. Now, the futures, however, after these kind of developments have come in, have seen a slight dip. Both the S&P 500 and Nasdaq futures have slipped around 0.5% each. Now, when we talk about the Brent crude levels, they're up about 1 odd percent. Gold prices are up 0.4% odd. At this point in time, the Asian markets are also seen rising in the early trading session. We saw the Nikkei up by about 0.4% in trade. The broader topics also was flat with a positive bias as well. Right now, if you look at the Kospi, it's up by half odd percent. It's the China and the Hong Kong index, Hang Seng, that's down by about 0.2-0.3% each. The GIFT Nifty is now indicating a muted start at 24,977. We'll see how it goes forward from here. As far as the FIIs are concerned, they net sold shares worth about 2,287 odd crore rupees in yesterday's trading session. In contrast, the DIIs bought shares worth about 5,607 odd crore rupees on June 16. Now, what we'll also look at is as to how some of the stocks that are in news will be impacting the sentiments today. But let's first welcome our guest on board. Kush Gota, Sara market expert, is now joining in on our program. Warm welcome to you, Kush. Good to have you with us. Very good morning. Help us understand your fresh take on the markets. Of course, on the one hand, we have these geopolitical tensions that are continuing to maintain an overhang. There have been further escalations in the last 12 hours or so. Even though the Brent crude prices and the WTI crude prices have not seen a sharp spike as was seen in the last weekend, how would you really look at the market sentiments right now?
Good morning. Definitely, I think market sentiments are a little bit cautious. Yesterday we saw some good recovery after opening, but technically, if you look, we are not able to cross over 25,200 since October 24, and Bank Nifty is resisting around 56,800. So I believe, technically market is cautious. Yes, there are stock-specific good trades, but I think market is. I'm definitely going to remain cautious because geopolitical tensions, yes, it's not directly affecting us, but the way crude might react, or if U.S. Supports Israel, and if it escalates at a higher level, we'll definitely see some pressure on markets. So my take on markets is, if you are a short-term trader, book profits wherever you can get, wherever you are getting profits, and stay on the sideline at least for a week.
Stay on the sidelines for at least a week. That's the advice that's being given. Kush, we have actually seen, even though the benchmark indices, continue to show us a knee-jerk reaction to any kind of a development, there is a plenty stock-specific action in trade. Any key stocks that you would be betting on for the day-to-day that you could highlight right before even the pre-open starts today?
No, definitely not, Sakshi. I would, play safe. Giving a trade before a opening of markets, I won't suggest, at least for a day or two, because
Okay.
markets are volatile. So, even new specific stocks would react differently. So, I would suggest just wait and watch.
Wait and watch at this point in time. Do not jump the gun and pick out strategies or stocks. Once let's look at how the sentiment is turning, and then you could probably look at some stocks. We'll read up some stocks that you could watch out for today for the session as far as the stocks and news are concerned. The block deals will be again in news. Talk about Vishal Mega Mart. The promoter, Samayat Services, is likely to sell a 10% stake in Vishal Mega Mart block deal. That seems to be upsized now. Promoter now is expected to sell up to 9,896 odd crore rupees worth of shares. And what we've also seen is that the company has a total of 668 stores spread across cities. The company also had ended at around 124.9 odd levels yesterday. We'll see that amidst this block deal, what kind of move do we see? Already in the last 1 week, we've seen a 4% dip on this stock. It's going to be a fairly large one. So that's something that we will keep an eye out on to see how the thing moves in as far as the sentiments on the street as well as on the stock. Now, apart from this, we'll also keep an eye out on several other stocks today. We'll look at, for instance, Z Entertainment, which the board has given a green light to issue up to 16.95 crore fully convertible warrants to entities belonging to the promoter group as a preferential basis, priced at 132 rupees per warrant, with an aim to raise about 2,237 odd crore rupees worth of shares. Now, apart from this, we'll also look at NTPC. The state-owned power giant has announced the board will be meeting on June 21st to consider a proposal to raise up to 18,000 crore rupees worth through bond issuance as well. That's another one. Tanla Platforms has also come out with a statement that its board of directors has given a green light to share buyback plan valued at 175 odd crore rupees. So that's again going to be in focus today. We'll also be looking at Biocon. Fundraise news there. The company has initiated its qualified institutional placement to raise 4,500 crore rupees, setting the floor price at 340.2 when it comes to Biocon per share, in accordance to the SEBI's pricing guidelines. Keep an eye out on that. Two more stocks that I'm watching out for. Macrotech Developers officially has changed the name to Lodha Developers effective June 16 after the Ministry of Corporate Affairs of approval. Hyundai Motor India has commenced production of passenger vehicle engines from its Talegaon plant in Maharashtra on June 16. That's another one that we will be watching out for. So keep an eye out on all those stocks there. Let's look at the Nifty. It's already started to trick in the pre-open, 25,200. So it's a very positive start, a very bullish start for the markets in trade today. Much better than what was being indicated by the Gift Nifty. And now you're seeing prices just inch down a further from that peak, 0.8% higher, even though still remains 25,169. We'll see how it really goes through. Let's also look at a few stocks that we can pull up to see what kind of a reaction we may be seeing. Let's look at Vishal Mega Mart first. The big block deal that's going to be taking place. Let's pull up that stock to see how the pre-open trade is getting an indication there. It's not started to take. Z Entertainment, that's another one that we can look at. In the real estate names, we can also pull up Godrej Properties and Macrotech. That's something that we can look at. Okay, so we'll wait for the prices to trickle in. Let's go back to Kush. Kush, I want to first talk about these big block deals that are taking place. I'm sure a lot of client queries must be coming to you as well as to about the stocks that they hold in their portfolio, why such massive selling is taking place. Already in May, there was 60,000 odd crore rupees worth of stake sales that happened. It has continued for the first fortnight of June as well. We've seen for Asian Paints again, two back-to-back block deals that have taken place. Reliance has been offloading the stake there. We're also looking at today Vishal Mega Mart. So many others have also pulled up. How are you looking at these block deal scenario?
Definitely, these block deals indicate one thing that, valuations are higher. Even promoter feels that their valuations are higher. So they are taking advantage of the same. And secondly, if look at the block deals, most of them are into, say, retail segment or B2C, where, companies are directly dealing with the retail clients. So I think, as we had seen in the first quarter, retail sales are down. Definitely they are down, and that is why we see, Reliance Retail, Asian Paints. Asian Paints, of course, there is another reason. I mean, actually, if you remember, before 15 years, if we think of a paint, it was Dulux or Asian Paint, but now we have Birla Opus, JSW Steel, Astral Paints. So the valuations that they were getting of the goodwill since 4 or 5 decades, now that's wiping off. So I'm sure that is affecting Asian Paints. Even prices are discounting the same. So I think retail segment is slowing down. So be it Vishal Megamart, be it Trend, Reliance, all are showing some slowdown in sales. So that is the reason why I see this sector where they are directly dealing with customers will see some more such offloading from the promoters.
Okay, got that. Let's also look at some of the other spaces that we can watch. Z Entertainment is something that we must take your view on also, Kush. The company giving a green light to issue up to 16.9 crore fully convertible warrants to entities belonging to the promoter group on preferential basis, priced at 132. The stock is up by 5% in the pre-open trade. This will help the company to raise 2,237 odd crore rupees from the promoters itself. Now, although this shows that the promoter is continuing to show confidence in their own company and is wanting to infuse more funds there. The point is the Kotak Institutional Equities has come out with a report with a reduced rating and a target price of 127 on the stock. They believe that on conversion, promoter stake will increase to 18.39% from the current 3.99%. And according to Z, this raise serves a dual purpose of fortifying core business, potentially funding the value accretive growth opportunities, enhancing promoter stake and accountability, and raise the target multiple to 13 odd times from 12 times earlier. That's what they have mentioned in their reports today. Any suggestion on how would you look at Z is the worst behind that the company had been facing for the last 1.5 years odd or so? Several news points, developments that continue to impact the sentiments. Any suggestion on Z Entertainment today?
Definitely, if you look technically, yes, definitely in short term, we might see some, pullback to 165, 170 odd levels. That is what, the price action showing on the charts because we have closed about 200 average yesterday, almost after many months, if I can count. So I think definitely technically I'm looking bullish. But if you're a long-term investor, I will stay away from Z because I think OTT is picking up. Currently, we are discussing this on OTT, right? So I've been the traditional television channels are facing some issues, facing tough competitions from OTT. Now we have so many influencers on different social media platforms. So I think there is no loyalty of TRP towards any particular channel or maybe particular subscriber. So that is what I think. There is much of disruption going on media sector. There might be some regulations coming in near future, maybe next 2 to 3 years. So just wait for long-term investment. I believe there should be some, restrictions on this stuff, and at that time, maybe Z will become attractive. So right now, there is too much of disruption in this sector. So I'm avoiding media sector for long-term investment. Definitely, if you are a trader, you should hold with the stop loss of 135, target 175. Rather, I would buy data companies like Bharti Airtel because no matter what channel consumers watch, they will use data.
Okay, got that. I hope this has also given some clarity to all our viewers to understand as to how to go about this one. Let's also focus on a few more stocks. I wanted to talk about the auto space with you, starting off with Tata Motors. Yesterday, we saw a sharp dip on the stock, 5% lower. This was after the company's unit JLR, shared a muted outlook for the current financial year compared to last year. JLR now expects its EBIT margin to be between 5 and 7% for FY26 compared to 8.5% margin that it had reported in the previous fiscal year. And of course, they also expect impact across the board too, and that's why the stock had fallen. Today, there could be slightly positive recovery on Tata Motors, but things had just started to get back on track for Tata Motors after a long haul of consolidation. And then comes a muted outlook on JLR. How would you look at Tata Motors?
So as a disclosure first, my family is holding Tata Motors on a long-term portfolio. But if you look at technically, definitely 700 was, a strong base. We thought that base is formed. From here, we will see a good recovery. But I believe, we are going to see some more correction. So this would be the last leg of correction in Tata Motors. Definitely margins will be in pressure, but the way JLR is catching up sales in developing countries like India or maybe other such developing countries, I think that is good, huge. I mean, in India we never saw so many say Range Rovers or Jaguar cars on the roads as we see in last 5 years. So definitely, Tata Motors might see some margin pressures and some sales pressure in developed countries like Europe, China. But the positive thing is what they are seeing in developing countries, and there is where spending power is. So I think Tata Motors for short term, yes, definitely we'll see correction. 630 is the first support, below which we may see sub 600 levels also, but that would be an opportunity for long term investors. So strategy is simple. If you're a trader, short on futures with stop loss of 700 for the targets of 645 and 630 in coming 3 weeks. But if you are an investor, take this as an opportunity to invest for next 5 years. I'm sure this could be a good multi-bagger stock. So buy on every dip. Strong support is in the range of 550 to 570.
Got it. Okay, so the Nifty settled in the pre-open trade. We have 24,977, the exact print that Gift Nifty was marking at. So we could be starting 31 points higher, just about 0.13% up in trade on the Nifty. Real estate stocks, media stocks could be in focus. Infra, PSU banks, oil and gas, autos, they could be in focus. Broader markets also indicative of a positive start. We could have names like M&M back in focus. Life insurance names which had started to buzz could again be in focus. HDFC Life indicates to a positive start. TCS, Aisha Motors, these remain to be among the top movers as far as the pre-open is concerned. On the downside, you could see further pressure on Asian Paints, Adani Group stocks, Eternal, Sun Pharma, Bajaj Auto. These are the stocks where mild weakness could actually be seen in today's trade. Let's look at how the defense names could be in focus. Remember, we have HAL that's now above 5,000 odd levels. Strong move has actually come in over the last one and a half months on the stock. BEL, also saw record close for the stock. It went above 400 odd levels for the first time yesterday. So that also was in focus. We had the shipbuilders, the airspace, and the entire defense stocks in focus. Kush, your suggestion on the defense names? Do you continue to believe that the upside still remains on these kind of stocks, HAL, BL? They have actually had a dream run again in the last 1.5 months odd. Now help us understand what's next for the defense names. Where do you still find comfort and where you may want to just book out?
No, definitely. I still feel that of course, valuation wise, they all are on a higher PE, but the way after Operation Sindhu, they are receiving orders and interest of orders from Western countries is maybe very huge and positive thing, but that we need to discount it in our fundamentals. It will take time. But technically, I still feel, uh, there are much more upside for short term. HAL, Musgao Dog, there are two my short term picks. They both look good to me. I think 50 around 5,000 HL is consolidating very well. So with the stop loss of 4,900, you may buy HL for the target of 5,300 for the short term, and Musgao Dog with the stop loss of 3,080. You may hold it for 3,400. Even VDL looks good, but yesterday it was quite volatile. I mean, we saw a good downside in the opening tick and then it recovered. So we'll wait for VDL today. Maybe we'll take a call tomorrow, but definitely HL and Musgao Dog with strict stop loss. Even still, there is some fees left for short term traders.
Okay, got that. That's the view that has been shared as far as the defense names are concerned. Let's talk about the real estate names. Remember, yesterday also there was a lot of buzz in the realty pack. That's something that we must discuss with you, Kush. Today, again, two stocks are back in focus. One, we have Macrotech Developers. Finally, the names changed to Lodha Developers. And this is after the approval that's been coming in from the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. We also have Godrej Properties. That's even yesterday was in focus because acquisition of a land parcel. Now it's coming out with acquiring a land parcel in Pune, 3,100 crore rupees of revenue potential. Yesterday it talked about a 1,500 crore rupees of a revenue potential from another land parcel that the company had acquired. So I think the acquisitions are on. The company is continuing to focus on creating future projects. Any suggestion on how we should go forward as far as the realty names are concerned? Any top favorite bet that you have both for the medium term, as well as for somebody who may want to keep a stock for the core portfolio for the longest time?
So yes, definitely, real estate in India is going to see a good boom in coming 10 years. So, two stocks which I think you should have in your long-term portfolio is a macro tech developer. I think Loza is having a good premium and they have a good branding in at least in Mumbai. But even Brigade Enterprise from the south should be in your portfolio because they have a good cash flow of rental incomes monthly. So 11 is trading around 1200. So Brigade and Lodha both should be in your long term portfolio.
Okay, got that. I hope this has also helped all our viewers out in getting an understanding. IT stocks is something else that I wanted to discuss with you. IT has been coming back in momentum. Both the large as well as the mid-cap names, they have both been strong, and in this recovery rallied upwards to 25,000. IT has definitely performed well and has participated too. Even today, we may see the IT stocks like TCS, Infosys, Infocus, Coforge, Persistent. They have been up and about as well. Your suggestion on IT stocks?
Definitely, I believe IT stocks have a good momentum, but they are trading near last week's high. So last week also we recommended HCL Tech and TCS, to go long, but still they're at the same levels. I mean, they had a gap down and then they recovered. So yes, they are looking good to me. But today I will just wait because today is a crucial day overall on index and stock specific. Because on Friday when we saw a gap down, all stocks and major indices, traded and closed below 10 and 15 days average. Today, all the indices, stocks, major weighted stocks are opening around that resistance level. So let's wait for today. Yes, definitely, I'm not short on IT stock, but if you want to buy fresh, just wait and watch. If we close or if you are closing around 39,300 on the index, definitely you could do BTST, Tech Mahindra or HCL Tech.
Okay, fair point. I hope this has also given you a fair bit of an understanding as to how the IT stocks could be actually going forward. We also are now going to be welcoming Arpit, who's now joining in on the program with us. Arpit Beriwal, he's the analyst for derivatives wealth management at Motilal Oswal Financial Services. Arpit, you just have about 30 seconds. Your first take on the market.
We have seen a roller coaster ride in a couple of days. After a sharp weakness in the Nifty on the last week, we've seen good recovery from the lower levels. So I think Nifty is likely to be in a range between 24,800 to 25,200 levels for the couple of days. And I think today and tomorrow would be crucial whether the gains index is able to hold around 25,000 or no, because that would really decide the level for the indices. Talking about the broader market is in good shape. So let's see, there are a lot of action that we can see buying interest. So we can move on to that as well.
Absolutely. So we had the first tick in the green, but swiftly turned into the red. 24,918 right now for the Nifty, 27 points lower. You have, several sectors that are slipping in the initial trade, and that's metals, FMCG, pharma, even the banking names like private banks, financial services, even IT for that matter, autos are also starting on the back foot. You have real estate, media stocks, infra, PSU banks and oil and gas showing us gains. Media stocks, of course, higher by about 1%. Let's look at Z Entertainment. I think that's the key driver for the media stocks in trade today after the board is talking about the kind of fund infusion. The board has given a green light to issue 16.9 crore fully convertible warrants to entities owned by promoters on a preferential basis at 132 odd levels. So that's something that we're looking at, 3% higher for this one, and that's what's pulling up. But otherwise, if you see, the NSE advances are 1,025 to declines of about 442 odd levels. So the market breadth seems to be still on the positive side, even though the gains are very limited on the mid cap space among the frontline indices. Nifty, Sensex both have slipped into the red. Nifty Bank is also swiftly moving lower as far as the flat line is concerned, and below that mid-cap slight gains that can be seen. But clearly on the Nifty you have Bharti Airtel, Geo Finance, HDFC Life. You also have Reliance Industries, BEL, Shriram Finance as the top movers. Tata Motors is down in trade. Sun Pharma is down. L&T, Grasim, Bajaj Finance, Nestle are the top losers as far as the Nifty are concerned. So I believe they're about 15 odd stocks on the positive side. Rest of them are towards the negative side as far as the Nifty is concerned. On the banking names, HDFC Bank continues to move up. Remember, yesterday there was a strong move on this one on the back of HDB Financial IPO news flows coming in that reports indicating by June end you could be seeing the subsidiary of HDFC Bank coming out with an IPO. Let's look at the PSU stocks slightly higher. You have BPCL, HPCL, IOC up. You have power stocks like NTPC, Power Grid up in trade. You have HAL continuing to move upwards 0.3% higher. Names like even REC, PFC, they are also up in trade. Some railway related stocks, slight moves. Oil and gas, especially the city gas distributors, they are up in trade. MGL is now up about 3%, top mover as far as the F&O space is concerned. Remember, IGL was also pulling up yesterday. And there's clear news that Nomura on the city gas distributors has come out with a buy rating and a target price of 1680 on MGL, neutral rating and a target price of 210 on IGL. On Gujarat Gas, they have a reduced rating and a target price of 406. They also believe that the falling APM gas allocation is a near-term challenge, although manageable through price hikes. The EV policies by the states, especially that was the key reason why the city gas distributors were up yesterday, with the Delhi government talking about how they may be delaying the deadline in which they want the petrol as well as the gas based vehicles to convert into EVs. That's a deadline going to be delayed and extended. So that's something that put forward the stocks in the higher zone. But let's look at the broader markets. I think that's where the action is. Many stocks that are hovering higher. Sterlite Technologies continues with its stronger move. Yesterday also the stock was higher. You can see another 7.5% move on this one today. Tanla Platforms is another one. Remember, we've been talking about buyback and therefore a 6% higher move on this one as well. Looking at some of the other stocks, you have names like some hotel names that are up, smaller ones. Access Skates Technologies is another one. So some mid-sized tech names that are in flows focused. Naveen Fluorine is up by about 4.5%. That's how the opening has taken shape. But Vishal Mega Mart block deal now underway. You can actually see the stock down by about 7 odd percent amidst this block deal. 91 crore shares, that 19.8% of the equity, worth 10,488 odd crore rupees, has exchanged hands at the rate of 115 rupees per share via block deal. Huge deal, and therefore you see a 7% downtick on this one. We'll come to you, Kush, now for the opening and your comments after the opening of the markets.
Yes, definitely. As we discussed, Shashi, today is a crucial day, and all the markets, all indices, as I said in pre-opening, are resisting near 10 and 15 days average yesterday. So today we are moving down. So perfect resistance for Nifty and Bank Nifty at those averages, even stocks like Reliance and all. So yes, I am staying on the sidelines. If you have a long position, keep a strict stop loss. Maybe we will not go short today, but you should have a strict stop loss on your long positions. For example, on Nifty, if we break below 24,860, I believe, there might be some more downside and volatility. So keep stop loss at 24,860. And for Bank Nifty, 55,800 on the spot level. So I'm being cautious and keeping strict stop loss on my long positions.
Okay, got that. So that's the view. Let's go to Arpit. Arpit, what about you? How are you looking at the market opening? Any key stocks that have come onto your radar right at the open?
So, Sakshi, if we see overall index have seen some cool off from the higher levels, but definitely there is good action across the market. So, if you look at the sectors such as defense and reality and selective healthcare names, so they are looking quite good. So, first I would be focusing on the defense sector as a whole. So, if you talk about overall defense, few pockets have been really outperforming. And if you look at the chart of Bharat Electronics (BEL), a very
Correct.
strong setup on the monthly and the weekly setup. From last almost 10-12 session, it was trading at live high traded between 390 to 400. Yesterday, it has given a range breakout above 400 levels. And I think positionally also, we can see good 8 to 10% rally from next 2 to 3 months perspective. On the immediate basis also, we can see definitely move towards 410, 4115 levels with major support around 390 levels. Along with that second counter within the similar space would be solar industries. So if you see overall, the stock has seen a stupendous rally from last couple of months and still holding strong. So technically trading at life high territories. Monthly setup is very strong. Weekly setup, the base of the stock is gradually shifting higher. From last 7 to 8 sessions, it was trading between 16,600 to 17,000. But definitely, as we see recovery in the broader market, we can see new life highs towards 18,000 plus levels. So from the defense pack, these two counters are there on radar. Apart from that, midcap IT also looks quite good. And if you see, IT index has been very much resilient. So, in fact, if you talk about the first move of the market, where the market rallied from almost 23,000 to 24,500, IT was underperforming. But from last couple of days to weeks time, it has relatively start outperforming. And within that, couple of counters there are on radar. First would be persistent system. So, persistent system, look at the chart setup wise, a very strong base formation on the monthly chart between 5,800 levels. And the weekly setup, it is consolidating, but definitely a range breakout above 6,050. A closing above 6,050 can give good momentum towards 6,200, 6,350. So I think this all ideas are there on radar, and definitely stocks projection is likely to continue going forward.
Okay, got that. So that's some of the stocks that Arpit is watching out for. Let's discuss some more names and ideas. Kush, I think some stocks within the FNO space that are indicating a higher start. CDSL from the capital market space, PB FinTech from the insurance space, and both these spaces also warrant our attention. Let's talk about the capital markets related stocks first. How are you looking at them? We've seen stunning moves on BSE in the recent past. We have now seen some cool off taking place. CDSL, you're seeing all the brokerage related names that are in focus. Edelweiss, 361, Geojit, IFL Finance. They've all been in momentum since yesterday. Your suggestion, your top stocks from this space?
Definitely, if you look for a top stocks for long-term investment, I would avoid, as I always say, brokerage firms in particular, but rather invest in stocks like BSE, MCX, or CDSL, or even CAMS to say. I think, they are going to get the business, they are going to get more and more attraction. So, whether it is through, say, online platforms or offline, but they will get business. So, first of all, we should have investment in CDSL, CAMS, MCX, and BSE, and then maybe we will look forward for other stock brokerage stocks. So, if you are a new investor, first focus on these four stocks. Once we have invested in this, maybe then we'll go for Angel One or Edelweiss.
Okay, what about stocks like PB FinTech, HDFC Life, SBI Life, Kush? How are you looking at these insurance names? Is the focus coming back on this space?
Yes, definitely. Again, as I always say, Sakshi, I won't invest in insurance, but I will definitely invest in Policy Bazaar, PB FinTech. Uh, uh, After COVID, people have got aware about their, life insurances, especially in tier one, tier two cities, and that is gaining attraction. Even mediclaims are family floater plans are gaining attraction. But if you want to buy online, first name which we get in our mind is Policy Bazaar. That is how they position their brand. So I think PB FinTech is going to get that first mover advantage. So definitely, as a disclosure, I have recommended all my clients to buy PB FinTech every day. Stock specific in insurance, I'm not buying because margins are very thin. Whenever they get a claim, uh, they're going to see some pressure. But PB FinTech is pure commission based business. So I think they are going to be it's like an FD. So buy Policy Bazaar on FD.
Okay, got that. Arpit, coming to you now. Help me understand first your take on the city gas distributors. How are you looking at IGL, MGL, Gujarat Gas kind of names? Of course, they've been reacting to the news flows, but are you devising any fresh strategies on these, or are you staying clear of them?
If you talk about especially the energy stocks such as IGL, MGL,
Hmm.
relatively they're quite volatile and high beta counters. And more broadly, if you talk about more from a trading perspective, yes, they are more of a trading counters because the bigger trend of the stock, if you look at the chart wise, IGL, MGL both are underperforming. So in fact, on the weekly scale, if you see the stock is consolidating from last almost 4 to 5 weeks between, if I talk about IGL between 195 to almost 215 levels. And today or yesterday, we've seen a good recovery from the lower levels. But I think chart setup wise both have cap upside at the same time. Multiple supports are entire lower levels. So from a 3 to 4% move within this band, one can play with that. And if I look at the chart of MGL, relatively, if we talk about is compared to IGL to MGL, MGL is relatively placed, and the level that you are looking out for MGL would be a crucial level that would be 1440 levels. And I think from last almost a year, almost from 8 to 9 months, this level hasn't been surpassed. So I think 1440 is the key level to watch out for. A closing above 1440 would change the setup for this counter. Till that time, it will be more of a range bound counter with cap upside and multiple supports at lower levels.
Okay, got that. I hope this has also helped you out in understanding how to go about it. Let's talk some other spaces now. Kush, before we have to let you go, let's talk about banks first, especially the private banks. How are you looking at them? HDFC, ICICI on the one hand, and now Axis and Kotak Mahindra Bank. They are also picking up some pace. What's your fresh move on the private sector large cap banks?
Definitely, no. In banks, we are seeing rotational moves. I mean, first PSU was gaining, then that time private sector was last week was saying profit booking. So now there, there is some balancing out going on. So I am definitely being cautious, Sakshi, for short term on banking stocks because markets are volatile, and if at all we see some correction, banking will be the most hard hit. So as a long term investor, definitely I'm with HDFC Bank and SBI. But for short-term trading, on every rise, maybe I will keep booking profits.
Okay, got that. I hope this has also given you some clarity there. Let's also address one more space with you, Kush, before we let you go, and that's the broader markets, the mid and the small caps. What's your fresh move here? Do you expect a sector-wide move, or are you being absolutely stock selective? And any stocks that you could pick out here?
Uh, So definitely, no. For a short term, we have seen a good rally in even penny stocks. If you look at something like say Unitech, of course, I'm not recommending that stock. They have seen a continuous upside. So something like R Power. So I believe we may see some profit booking on small cap stocks, but stock which I recommend, which is of course as a disclosure super risky, is R Power. I think that there might be turnaround. So rather than betting on a stock something like a penny stock below 10 rupees, rather I would trust and give a chance on our power. Definitely we have seen a correction from 76 levels to almost 65 currently. So any dip to 55 to 60 range, I will invest in our power for at least 1 or 2 months. We may see some good rally back again. So for short term, maybe you won't get a quick rally, quick returns in coming weeks, but stock specific, definitely you should pick up for a risky trade.
Okay, got that. I hope that's also helped all our viewers out. Kush, we will thank you then on that note for being with us on the show today, guiding all our viewers through. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time. All right, viewers, we'll continue to focus on the markets and the key stock ideas and strategies with Arpit now. Arpit, first 15 minutes of a candle formed and the markets have tested 24,900 on the downside. We are 72 points lower. Swiftly, we have seen this weakness. What does this indicate?
Sakshi, if we see, as we discussed at the start of the session, if you look at the Nifty weekly chart, from last almost 6 weeks, it has been trading in a broader range. Yes, the range has been quite broader between 24,400 to 25,200 levels. But now, if you see the recent setup also, after a gap down opening on the Friday, you're seeing good recovery from the lower levels. And now, after a sharp recovery from 24,500, index is somewhere finding some pressure at the higher levels near 25,000 levels. So from an immediate basis, index now sense is that for next couple of days likely to consolidate between 24,800 to 25,100 levels. Until that time, the levels are not decisively surpassed on the either side. Index likely to consolidate. But having said that, yes, definitely an initial 1 hour would be important. Whether the market is able to hold its losses or whether to recover from the lower levels. But looking at the setup wise, definitely we have a census expiry also. But setup wise, a range bound movement is expected because selective heavyweights are holding, such as IT sector is holding, Reliance is holding relatively, but at the same time, certain pockets are drifting lower. So it's like a mixed bag between the indices. Now talking about Bank Nifty. So Bank Nifty also we have seen a very sharp downtick from the higher levels after hitting life high territories in the last week post the RBI policy. It has corrected almost 1500 points, but at the same time, good recovery is seen from the lower levels. So over here, private banks relatively selective private are holding, whereas the other PSUs and selective midcap banks are under pressure. So I think Bank Nifty also got stuck in a range between 55,555 to 56,500. And Nifty also got in the struck between 24,800 to 25,200. Looking at the setup wise, it's definitely very difficult to trade in such markets because the cap downside and the cap upside really restricts your momentum. So let's wait for a couple of minutes to and I think from initial one up, and then I think decisively 24,850 on the intraday basis would be an important level to watch out for. Till it holds above that, we can definitely play for the upside move on an intraday basis.
Okay, got that. So that's the market move that you're expecting there. I think defense names are further pulling up. Rightly, as you pointed out, Arpit, Mazagon Dock is further picking up pace, 1.9% higher among the top movers in the FNO space as well. We have both HAL and BEL also in focus today. Then let's pull up all the other shipbuilder stocks as well. Let's pull up Cochin, let's pull up GRSE, GE Shipping, SCI. These stocks have also been, in focus of late. If I have to ask you to choose the top favorite stock within the shipbuilders particularly, which one would that be, Arpit, for you?
So if we see the chart setup of particular ship building, first would be GRSE. So if we look at the chart of GRSE, a clear uptrend on the monthly scale. Having said that, we have seen some profit booking from the higher levels in last 7 to 8 sessions from 3,500 to almost 3,000 levels. But beautifully, if you look at the bigger time structure, the stock is continuously respecting its 20 DEMA. And a couple of days back, it took support near its 20 DEMA. Post that it is consolidating between 3,000 levels. So it is absorbing the selling pressure. And definitely, as we see some recovery and stability in this indices, in this sector, definitely can head back towards 3,200, 3,500 levels. Apart from that, Mazdog, if we talk about, this has been one of our top pick within this sector. So structurally, one of the strongest counter in the entire defense shipping pack. So this was the first counter that started the rally in the month of April. Post that from the last couple of weeks, the stock is correcting from the high levels from 3,800 to 3,200 levels. But I think this stock is kind of a buy and dip stock. So 2,800, 2,900 is a major support zone positionally. On the immediate basis, 3,000 is a major support level. So I think looking at the long-term charts of this two counters, I think from next 2 to 3 months perspective also, we can see good returns in this counter. And definitely you can start building a position slowly, steadily in these two counters from a medium-term view.
Okay, got that. So that's the view that's coming in on the shipbuilder names. Real estate is further picking up pace. I think it's the top mover right now among the sectors, 1.7% higher in trade. So the real estate names are clearly in focus today. DLF is up over 2%. Oberoi Realty is up 2%. Godrej Property is near 2% higher. Lodha is up. Prestige, Sobha, Anantraj, all of them in focus. Your top favorite realty stock, and do you think this momentum will sustain, or is it just going to be momentary right now, Marpit?
So actually, if we see reality, if we take back just a couple of days back when the
Yeah.
RBI policy was there, that day it witnessed one of the sharpest move on that particular day. And post that day, almost 5 to 7 session index was consolidating. In fact, some profit booking was at the high levels. But
Yes.
yesterday, it again took support near its major support zone in the mainly all the counters. And today we have seen follow up buying. So looking at the setup wise, generally as per the technical analysis also wise, generally after a big up move, a pause, the next leg of rally starts. And look at the chart setup wise, I think from the sector wise, DLF looks very promising. So a classical range or channel breakout on the monthly scale, daily scale formation of higher lows, negative formation of lower highs, strong bullish candle. So I think slowly, steadily, we can see good momentum of 4 to 5%. Having said that, as market has got stuck in a range, so obviously we have to be very much realistic in terms of the momentum that the stocks are likely to deliver. But setup wise, definitely reality looks good because it has been correcting from last few days. Again, the support was seen at the lower level, and now the another leg of rally have started. So DLF would be a preferred pick. Along with that, Oberoi Realty. So look at the chart setup as Oberoi Realty. The stock was underperforming for a lot of time, but after a month breakout on the monthly scale after May series, slowly steadily the stock is moving higher. So if you see the setup wise on the daily scale of fresh consolidation breakout about 1940 levels, so definitely 2000 2020 is on the cards. So I think DLF, Oberoi Realty both looks good for next couple of days time frame.
Okay, got that. So that's the view that's coming in. Let me just find out for all our viewers which are the top stocks in the 52-week high list today. You have about four stocks there today. Solar Industries, you have Max Healthcare, you have BEL that continues to soar at 52-week highs, and Max Financial as well. Now, Max Financial, Citi has initiated a report with a buy rating and a target price of 1840 on this one. Currently, it's hovering around 1582. So, there's still a lot of upside that the company can actually look at, because Citi believes the company has reiterated focus on reversing merging operation business with the listed company. There could be some regulatory headwinds and a lack of visibility on the taxation implications, but the company is still holding on a positive note, because the growth possibilities are far stronger. Any suggestion on this stock, Max Financial? Last 3 months there has been a considerable amount of move on the higher side. The stock has moved up about 43% odd. New reports coming in, companies are initiating their coverage. Any suggestion on Max Financial?
If you look at the technical setup wise, Sakshi, this has been one-way counter. The moment the market bottom out in the last mid-Feb, mid-March, mid-April, the counter has bottom out around 1,000 levels, and since then you have seen a vertical rally. Almost from last 4 months, strong bullish candle continues forming higher highs, higher lows. On the weekly setup from last 13 weeks, the base of the stock is shifting higher, and in fact on the daily scale, the stock is continuously moving over its 20 DEMA. That clearly indicates the strength of the counter. And look at the chart setup on the monthly scale wise. The base of the stock is shifted higher from 1,000 levels to almost 1,300, 1,350. So it's a clearly buy and dip counter from next 3 to 6 months perspective. Definitely the stock can head towards 1,800, 2,000 from next 6 months to 1 year perspective. But on the immediate basis, 1650, 1680 would be on radar with a major support around 1520 levels.
Okay, fair point. So that's the view that's coming in. Within the other NBFCs, any suggestion that you would have? Let's also pull up Bajaj Finance yet again. Viewers, remember yesterday was the first day when we saw the stock trading in 3 digits after those stock split and the bonus adjusted price came in. Currently slightly lower from yesterday's move. 930 is the level that you can see Bajaj Finance at. So that's the leader of the pack when we talk about the NBFCs. The other NBFCs as well included. How would you look at this space, and what is your focus?
So actually, if we see overall setup wise, the NBFC as a space has been quite strong, and selective pockets has really outperformed. So if I look at the chart setup of particularly from the gold finance aspect, this Muthoot Finance, this
Yeah.
counter has been a huge outperformer. And post the news on the policy date where there were better policy restrictions on the gold finance companies, we have seen a very sharp up move from 2,200 to 2,600 levels. And now looking at the chart setup wise, definitely it has formed a new base towards 2,400, trading a life high territories, and generally such counters tend to outperform going forward also. So I think Muthoot Finance with a major support around 2,400, 2,450 levels is a kind of a buy and dip counter. With major support around 2,500, the counter can definitely head towards 2,700, 2,800 eventually. But this is one of a counter that have been quite favored among the NBS impact. Second would be, we would like to stick with the heavyweight. So this counter Bajaj Finance that we have talked about, it gave a monthly range breakout in the start of the month January series, and post that slowly steadily the stock is moving higher. So definitely after some corporate action from last couple of days, there is some sideways momentum, but definitely the range has been shifted higher, and we can definitely see new life highs from a next 2 to 3 months perspective towards 1,000, 1,100 levels also. So I think Bajaj Finance and Muthoot Finance looks quite promising within this space.
Okay. Let's also talk about PSU banks. I think those are also coming back in focus. IOB, Bank of Maharashtra, PSB, Central Bank of India, UCO Bank, the second rung PSU banks, they're also coming up again. The index is also at the day's high now, 0.8% higher. How would you look at it?
So actually, if we talk about a PSU bank, we have to think one thing very clearly that these are more of a trading sector. We
Okay.
cannot expect a one-way rally where selective sectors have seen one-way rally such as shipping stocks, defense stocks, or realty stocks. But if you talk about PSU as a basket, relatively they have been trading in a range. And within PSU bank, one of our top pick would be Indian Bank. So if you look at the charts of Indian Bank, trading a life high territory, a classical channel breakout on the monthly scale above 620 levels. Slowly, slowly the stock is moving higher. In last couple of days, the stock corrected from 650 to almost 600, and now again the stock is heading back, forming higher lows. So I the Indian Bank is one of the secular uptrend counter that we can go out for. Second would be if we see from the downside reversal counter, that would be Bank of India. So if we see the setup of Bank of India on the monthly chart, it has given a range breakout about 115 levels on the monthly scale. On the weekly scale, definitely some cool off was seen, but the base of the counter shifted higher. It has retested its previous breakout zone. 118 is a major support level. On the upside, 128, 130 is the hurdle zone. So I think that definitely you can trade in this range between 118 to 130 levels. And second, as we already discussed, Indian Bank and Bank of India would be a preferred pick within this space.
Okay, fair point. I hope this has also helped all our viewers out get an understanding on that one. There's a smart recovery in the broader markets as well. Mid caps have also recovered smartly from the day's low point now. The Nifty Midcap 100 index, if you pull out that one, you'll be able to see that the index is now climbing towards the day's high, 1/4% higher in trade. Any suggestion from the mid and small caps for yourself, Arpit? What are you looking at?
If we talk about the sector wise, definitely there's a lot of action, and we talk about starting with first with reality, followed by selective. So along with that, if we talk about the healthcare space, if we see healthcare space has been very much strong, and we talk about Max Healthcare and Fortis. If you look at the chart setup of Fortis, a very classical range breakout on the monthly scale after almost 7 to 8 months with strong bullish candle. Weekly setup also some dip was seen. Again, buying was seen from the lower levels. So I think one of the counter that looks very good from next 2 to 3 months perspective towards 800, 850 levels would be Fortis. And second, as we discussed about that is already stock is already trading a life high trade, that is Max Healthcare. A classical range breakout on the monthly scale, strong uptrend, strong bullish candle, higher rise, higher lows formation is intact. The base of the counter shifting higher. So with that support around 1200, the stock can head towards 1300, 1330 levels. So I think these two counters would be on radar from a positional perspective that can give definitely good returns in next couple of weeks to months time.
Okay, fair point. I hope this has also given some broader understanding to all our viewers there. Let me look at the markets again. Some stock spotting for you. Asian Paints has climbed to the top spot on the Nifty, 1% higher, 2268. You have some buying coming in on the Adani Group stocks as well. Adani Ports is nearly up a percent in trade. IT stocks, life insurance names, steel names are also hovering higher. Now you're also looking at the IT, mid and small caps, PSU banks and realty. Those are the only pockets that remain up. PSU stocks, some of them are actually doing well. In the Nifty 500 basket, you can see MMTC that's up by 5 odd percent. So some such names are actually climbing in the PSU stocks too. That's where some of the action is. But autos, pharma, financial services, oil and gas, consumer durables, they have all slipped into the red at this point in time. Let me ask you on Asian Paints. Arpit, your fresh view there. The stock has been in focus on the large block deals that have been taking place. Reliance has been booking out some of its stake. Twice it has participated already in the block deals. The stock is finally moving up a percent higher after those knee-jerk reactions, 2271. Of course, last 1 year has been a painful one for Asian Paints, both in terms of the stock price performance as well as on the financial performance as well. Quarter on quarter, there has been consistent disappointment coming in, rising fears of the competition eroding some of the market share from Asian Paints. Recently, it was also in news because of the Competition Commission of India, reporting that, complaints coming in for Asian Paints and it's, probably looking at unfair means to continue to retain its market share and, continue its business with the dealers. How would you look at Asian Paints right now? Do you think the company continues to be a strong player, and after the dip of 22% odd on the share price last 1 year, can one still look at it?
Sakshi, we have to see this counter from two perspectives.
Okay.
First, if we talk from a trading perspective, definitely the counter is in range bound with a negative bias. So if you look at the
Okay.
monthly setup and the weekly setup, definitely the stock is in under pressure, where market has recovered sharply from lower levels in last couple of months. The stock hasn't seen much recovery. Now, talking about from the immediate basis, the last almost 6 to 7 months band on the upper band 2500 is a major supply zone, whereas on the downside 2150 is a major support zone. And now, if you see the weekly chart up, the stock is turning from the major support levels from 2200 levels. So some bounce back move can be seen towards 2350, 2400 levels. That will from a trading perspective. Now talking about the investment perspective, generally such counters underperformance happens very rarely. And if you look at the last almost 4 year chart, the stock is back to its 4 year chart that was in March 2021 near 2200 levels. So from my investment perspective, if someone has a vision of 2 to 5 years vision, then one can start accumulating in tranches, 30 to 40% at current levels, then another dip towards 2000 levels. So that is from my investment perspective. One can go long, but that from a trading perspective, you have to keep in mind the stock is likely to be in a range, and you have to play that range to make the most of it.
Got it. Okay, so let's start towards the last 5 minutes of our morning edition, understanding the key strategy for the day. And of course, we will also look at the strategy for the rest of the week as well with you, Arpit. Now, yesterday, the new trend emerged that in the beginning, first hour of trade, the markets were muted, and then they finally picked up pace. They ended almost at the high point as well, making us feel that, just the next day we will be climbing above 25,000 and the uptrend will be coming in. Today, again, the first hour of trade has rather panned out to be very volatile. Markets testing even 24,900. Is this a new trend? How are you looking at the market moves at this point, and what should be the strategy, therefore, of the traders?
So it's very important that you have to have a clear directional setup in our mind before trading any setup. So you have to be very much clear where we are going for a buy on dip stance or a sell on bounce stance. So look at the setup wise whether risk reward are favorable. So for example, if we talk about Nifty, yesterday when it opened on the negative note, the risk reward was favorable on the long side as it was near its support zone. So from a today's perspective, immediate basis 24,800 to 24,820 is a major support zone for Nifty. And our sense is that till it holds above that, we can see a bounce back move towards 24,950 levels, 25,000. But at the same time, you have to be very much cautious looking at the bank nifty also. So kind of a buy and dip market, but at the same time upside is capped. So I think generally where it comes near support zone, over there we can trade with keeping strict stop losses for an intraday basis. At the same time, 25,050. That is a key level that Nifty for closing basis for a further upward move for next couple of days. So 25,050 would be a key level that you have to watch out for further momentum in next couple of days session. For Bank Nifty, 56,100 would be a key level where you have to watch out for that. Any closing above 56,100 level would trigger the fresh leg of momentum towards 56,250, 56,500. Till that time, our sense is that index is likely to be in a range. Within this range, you have to play it out, and more action is seen in stock specific action. So better to play that and make the most of it.
Okay, fair point. I hope this has also helped all our viewers understand the key strategies on the markets now. Now, Arpit, any key two stocks that you would want investors to keep on their watch list for today?
So first, as we discussed, the session started was first was the BEL, as we have been quite strong on the chart setup wise, a very strong setup on the monthly and the weekly setup, a range breakout. So I think from a immediate basis to a medium term perspective, BL where we have a very strong conviction towards 430, 440 levels for next 2 to 3 months perspective. Second would be Max Healthcare, a classical strong uptrend counter, a range breakout on the monthly scale above 1220 levels. Slowly steady, the stock can head towards 1300, 1350, 1400 levels. So these two counters would be there on radar for our viewers and for our short term to medium term players.
Okay, fair point. Got that. Arpit, thank you so much for being with us on the morning edition, helping all our viewers out and devise a strategy for themselves, and of course, keep looking at the markets from the points of view that you've shared. Appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Hope you have a great time. We'll see you soon on another edition of Market Today soon. All right, viewers, we'll start wrapping up the morning edition now, and you can see a 24,866 level on the Nifty, 77, 78 points lower in trade. A large part of the market breadth is on the negative side, but you have real estate stocks that are in the buzz, you have media stocks, you have mid and small caps, IT, PSU banks that are hovering higher, pockets like defense that they continue to move up in tandem as well, NBFC space that's also hovering higher, the brokerage houses spaces, those are some of the pockets that are continuing to see some action, and of course the news flows based stock specific action also continues. You stay tuned with us on Business Today Television. We'll continue to get you all the insight on markets and how they are expected to move forward from here from top market experts. And in case you have any questions about what should you be doing with the stocks in your portfolio, any new stocks that you must be looking at where there is a considerable amount of opportunity to make higher profits, ask all your questions on daily calls. At 12 noon, I'll be back with two market experts addressing all your stock-related queries. Stay tuned on Business Today Television.
The tricolor, and of course the Prime Minister's